Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I did this little meal prep, so let's get right on into it. So I wrote everything down. I did 3 main courses. I did a pasta dish, a mashed potato dish, a rice dish. I did vegetables. I did cabbage, broccoli, green beans, and then proteins. And I chose to do tofu, chickpeas, and mushrooms. And so I like to lay everything out, write everything all down, and make sure that everything is in order. I have it in my face so I know what I'm doing. And I also wrote down okay, I'm going to need 1 red onion diced for the rice and chickpeas. I'm going to need 1 whole yellow onion for the cabbage, half the cabbage. I'm going to put in the oven the broccoli, the green beans, and the tofu. I had spaghetti sauce in the freezer that I had prepped well before. So I'm just going to thaw that out and just make some noodles. Then I have some brown rice. That's going to take the longest. I'm going to buy vegetable broth for the brown rice, the cabbage, and the chickpeas. I still don't know what the mushroom flavor is going to be, but I was feeling like a jerk seasoning situation, so I think that's what I'm going to do. And then I have a little grocery list on the left hand side of the things that I needed to buy, and everything was all set. So I have my onions here. I've diced them up. I prepped everything, cut up the cabbage. I have my containers. I have a bunch of plastic containers. I do not have a lot of the glass ones. I'm slowly but surely buying them. Those are expensive, but I do want to use less plastics in my life, so I'm slowly but surely getting glass containers. So we're starting off with the red onion. Speaking of plastics, you see the bottom of this pan? Oh my god, the microplastics just leaching into my bloodstream. Insane. I need to buy new pots and pans, but that's another issue for another day. We're doing what we can with what we have, so you know how that is. So we're just gonna sweat these onions real quick, get them a little soft. I washed my brown rice, and now I am just moving that around in the pan, getting it browned a little bit so that I can slowly cook those in some broth. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to let that do its thing. While I'm doing that, oh, I'm not moving on yet. My bad. We're gonna wait for this to do its thing. But basically, just let it brown. You'll be alright. So moving on, I'm also going to be cooking my noodles. I'm going to do penne. Is it penne? Penne pasta? I don't know. I'm going to be using those noodles. I had spaghetti noodles, but it's kind of boring. So I wanted to switch it up a little bit, and I wanted to use the penne pasta. And I'm going to just make sure that my rice is good in the meantime, in between time. And I'm going to be adding some vegetable broth, fat-free, so that it's vegan friendly. And I am terrible at knowing what amount of liquid to, especially brown rice. I know what white rice is, but like brown rice, I don't know. I could Google it. I think I did Google it once, and I still needed more. So I'm just going to be adding more broth as I go along. And I also have these veggie bouillon bases. I have this roasted garlic base, and I have the veggie base, vegetable based. So I'm going to be using both of those as well as the liquid broth. And so I'm using a little less than half a teaspoon of both. And I'm not scraping the pan. I know it looks like metal spoon to the pan, and that is, I'm not touching the pan. I promise. You're just going to have to take my word for it. Then I'm going to be prepping my mushrooms. I'm going to cook those down in this pot over here, and it's not all going to fit in the pot at once, so I'm going to do it in sections. And we are just putting those in. They do cook down, so I mean, this was a big, I cleaned them, I washed them, and put them in this pot. It was a big container of mushrooms. Our noodles are basically done. I'm going to reuse that pan because I want to use as few dishes as humanly possible. And so I'm putting some avocado oil in that pan, sweating my onion, and I'm going to be cooking the cabbage in that pot right there. So we're adding in our cabbage like so. I'm going to be adding a little salt to get it to start sweating and reducing down, and letting that do its thing while I prep other things. There's a lot of multitasking going on, a lot of switching gears and doing this, doing that. It's a lot of that going on. So if this video feels like I'm jumping around a lot, it's because I really was. But it was fun. It was cool. So this is what I have going. All 4 of my burners are being used. I added more broth to my rice. Not sure how. We're just cooking it down. Then I'm going to mix around my little cabbage, make sure that's doing its thing. I have potatoes over here on the right hand side. I like mashed potatoes, the red one. I like red potatoes as mashed potatoes. I like to leave the skin on because I'm lazy, and also it doesn't matter too much. And for my mushrooms, I'm using Cajun seasoning. I'm using paprika. I'm using allspice. I didn't find jerk seasoning in the store that I went to. What was that? Was that cinnamon? I think it was cinnamon. I'm not sure. Nutmeg. And some veggie base. I didn't find jerk seasoning in the store, so I decided to just make my own. And it turned out really good. It turned out delicious. I'm adding a little steak sauce. I don't know why. I don't remember why I did that, to be honest. I felt like it needed something else. Or, I don't remember. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember. And then adding a little sugar. I don't typically use sugar at all, so that was I had to buy like a whole thing of sugar. I don't even think I've used it to this day, the rest of it. But anyways, moving on. That's what we have going on. Some people are not into meal prep. They think it's gross that you have things in the fridge for that long. Oh, adding cumin to my mushrooms. They think it's gross you have something in the fridge for a week. I understand. You can meal prep small portions. You know what I mean? That was veggie base and garlic base. You can meal prep for like 3 days. 3 days worth of food. This is a lot of food that I'm making. I'm not the only one eating it. It was gone well before the 1 week time period. Also, you can meal prep and freeze your meals, you know? You can make your own frozen meals, so it doesn't have to be this like gross, nasty situation. You can customize it. Do what you need to do. I ran out of avocado oil, as you saw when I was making cabbage, so now I have to use vegetable oil. I don't like vegetable oil. I used to use a lot, and I've moved past it, but here we are. My old friend, I guess. I'm prepping my broccoli and my green beans. I salted it, peppered it, a little paprika action. I'm just seasoning the vegetables. You can or can't do this. It's up to you. It doesn't matter. Putting those in the oven, letting those do its thing. The rice was done-ish. There's still a lot of liquid in there, so I turned the heat off and just let it absorb. Cabbage is done. Mushrooms are done. Potatoes also done. So I'm using some butter. Yeah, I'm just prepping them how I used to do potatoes, but veganizing it. I have some sour cream, vegan sour cream, Follow Your Heart brand. My favorite. Use what you want. I didn't want to buy a whole carton of milks, so I have bought this small half-gallon of almond milk. Almond milk's not my personal favorite, but you do what you do. It didn't taste bad. It was fine. So now we're just mashing it up. As you can see, skins are on. They're good for you, so I hear. You know, they're good. I have some garlic salt, some paprika, some pepper, and mashing it some more. I like the red potatoes because the skin's on. It's so thin that it doesn't really taste like it doesn't. It's not abrasive to my palate. It's not offensive to me to do something like that. So that's just what I do. You can peel them if you want. I just don't. Next, I'm doing my tofu. So I'm gonna just break them up into little nice bite-sized chunks in this bowl, and I'm going to season them and get those ready to go into the oven and cook at, I think I've cooked them at 425 for like 15-20 minutes, or until they're crunchy and golden brown. You'll know. It's up to you. I'm adding a little oil. I'm adding some Cajun seasoning salt. Yes. I'm adding some garlic. I think I added paprika. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Adding onion powder. And I'm like shaking the bowl as I season it so that it gets all coated. Then I'm adding a little cornstarch and shaking as I go so that it gets incorporated onto all of them. And I'm going to put this in a pan. I'm going to line my pan with parchment paper. Unbleached parchment paper is my go-to. I heard that the bleached stuff isn't the best for you. I mean, I do what I can when I can. You know, you can't always do the right thing all the time. So if you don't have unbleached parchment paper, it's okay. We're doing our best, right? In another pan, I have my onions that are doing its thing in some, I think it was butter. And I'm adding all of these seasonings. I added garlic powder, onion powder, allspice, cumin, paprika. I think I added some pepper. I have thyme in there. Yes, I do. I do have thyme. And some turmeric. I got this recipe online and I don't remember where I got it from, so I will try to find it and post it. But this is not an original recipe from ya girl. I didn't know how to flavor the chickpeas, so I looked it up. And this recipe is what I found, and it was so good. So good. I had some cayenne and some red chili flakes and parsley into this, mixing it up. That's what the onions are looking like now. Very seasoned, very delicious. There's the pepper that I was talking about earlier. Then I have some petite diced tomatoes. I don't typically use canned tomatoes, so this was new. In the recipe, they said you can blend it in an immersion blender or with an immersion blender or in a regular blender. I decided to leave it unblended, and it tasted still very good. Adding some coconut milk, just 1 can. And going to stir that up and let it simmer for like 3 to 5 minutes, and the tomatoes kind of cook down into basically nothing. Like, you see them, but like when you eat it, it doesn't really, like, it just kind of melts in your mouth, and it's so good. Added some more of my veggie bases into this. The veggie bases were carrying these recipes, I'm not gonna lie. They were doing their thing. So yeah, that was nice touch. Adding garbanzo beans, wash them, of course, and then I added some Great Northern beans, wash those as well, and mixing those up. It was so freaking good. Y'all, you just gonna have to try it. It was so good. It was one of my favorite things that I meal prepped, because it just went so well with some rice on the side or over rice. Whether it was brown rice, white rice, it didn't matter. This was a good dish, I'm not gonna lie. So there's my rice. The water or the liquid is gone. Everything is prepped. Everything is done. That's what the beans are looking like. Everything is good. Tofu is there in the oven. Noodles. My sauce. I didn't have a lot of sauce, so that sucked. And my vegetables. I have a small kitchen, so that's why it's like claustrophobic, but we did what we could. I'm adding my potatoes. I'm adding my rice. And I'm adding my noodles into 3 separate dishes. And I mix and match the sides, basically. So with the potatoes, I'll do just any of the sides. Right now I'm doing cabbage and the mushrooms, but each dish gets a different side and a different protein so that you're not eating the same thing every day. With my rice, I did the broccoli, and with my noodles, I did the green beans. And then with the noodles, I'm also doing my tofu. They're nice and crispy and delicious. And with my rice, I'm doing my little chickpeas. So that's what we have, and that is the meal prep. Thank you so much for watching. In my little glass containers, I did white rice and the rest of the chickpea bean dish. So thank you for watching. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.